Andy's back with us. Andy Enfield from the El Paso Chihuahuas. Good to see you.
Thanks, Steve. How's it going?
You brought some royalty with you today.
Yes, I did.
Very excited about this man as he joins us, although some will say he's not a man, he's a chicken. It's the famous chicken himself, Ted Giannoulas, who is with us here on Sportstalk. First off, welcome back to El Paso. It's great to see you.
Thank you. I just flew in from San Diego, and I couldn't wait to cross the road to come here into the studio for the first time with you, Steve. Thanks.
Well, we've interviewed each other on the phone over the years, but we've never actually had the opportunity to go face to beak. So I really do appreciate that, and thank you for giving us some time today. Now, you're still so busy, and I was going to ask you, I mean, people don't realize this, but you've scaled this down a lot over the years, but you still have room for El Paso because it has such a special place in your heart.
Yeah, it does. My first minor league game was here, Steve, and I'm going to tell you, I fell in love that very first night with the people, the town, their good faith, their kindness. The people here, and I've said this over, not just here in El Paso, but throughout the country, the people of El Paso are the salt of the earth. They're sweet people. I mean, there's a special character, a special flavor that they have about themselves, and the atmosphere of the town. They love to laugh. To put it in layman's terms, it's a great audience. And anytime someone calls me from El Paso to do a visit, the answer is yes.
The amazing thing to me is this. If you've seen this show once, if you've never seen it before, or if you've seen it 100 times, it still makes people laugh every time. And I think that's the best part about it, because there's just something about the character, the humor, the personality that fans gravitate to.
I try to make it like a cartoon come to life, Steve. And so it appeals to all ages for that matter. But whenever I perform, I try to save some staples that I do from year to year, and also mix in some new stuff that the fans hadn't seen last year or the year before. So it's always something different. I try to keep it a little bit fresh. Fresh chicken counts. But overall, you'd be surprised how many times fans come up to me and make requests for certain jokes that they've seen in the past and want to see again. So
that's awesome.
It is. It is like a singer who's got to sing some greatest hits.
Are there some things that are still the same now as they were 30 years ago if you really look back and you see a chicken act? Because when you get on the baselines and you start coaching the bases,
yes,
that is something that I know fans love, because they just enjoy seeing. First off, they enjoy seeing a chicken on first base coaching and giving signs, and especially when the team starts scoring runs, it's because of the chicken.
Well, it's amazing. Yes, it's so irreverent, and that's the key to it all. And I don't try to impede the dignity of the game. You know, the players still bear down between the white lines. I'm outside the white lines. But that's the only time I'm on the field during play is in the coach's box, maybe during the third inning when I'll make my entrance tomorrow night. But all the rest of the time I'll be on the dugout or in the grandstands or what have you, way deep on the sidelines. But the idea is to bring a little frivolity, a little humor to the game. And baseball lends itself so well to that endeavor that it fits very well for the fans.
Ted, what's amazing to me is this kind of started out as a radio promotion back in the 70s. Yeah. And it's morphed into this. And now you look at this, I mean, this is something that's been going on for over 40 years now.
You know, I have to say, not to put a feather in my cap, but when I worked as a radio station promotion back in the 70s in San Diego, there was a trade publication that was very well known back then that came out and called the chicken the best radio promotion in history of all time. And then it just, like I say, morphed into all these other things to the point where now other teams started calling me up, which was unprecedented at the time. And in fact, the very first game I ever did on the road was for the St. Louis Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Just a quick story. The Cardinals baseball players themselves decided to forego their end of the season party with their kangaroo court money that they had. And they called me up. Lou Brock himself talked to me about coming to Atlanta and that the kangaroo court money would finance the trip to have me in. So I said, heck yes, I'll come in there. But then when the front office heard about that I was coming in, they told the players to keep their kangaroo court money and the front office would take care of it. But it was the players' idea to bring me in. And it was a wonderful time. I remember Keith Hernandez and all those guys back then. And it was was tremendous to know that not only the fans were having fun with it, but it was my first inclination to say, wow, even the players are enjoying this.
When you were doing this for the radio station before baseball, would you end up drawing hundreds of people out in San Diego to radio remotes when you came as the Chicken?
Yes, that's a good point, because it was used as a radio station promotional lure for sponsors. For example, they would say, "Hey, the Chicken is at the Mad Jack Stereo, or he's at this Waterbed Emporium, and he's got albums to give away, concert tickets, movie passes. Go see him." And of course, a flood of people would arrive. And then if I ran out of those things, then whether it be albums or what have you, still there was traffic in the store. But then people would bring also their cameras and take pictures and bring their kids, and of course later on they would see me at the games and such. So it was if you got an item, which was great, we always had lots of them. The record companies would send us these things, or the movie studios would. But then there was also an opportunity to say hi to the Chicken.
Off of baseball for a second, you've had the opportunity to have some movie parts, some movie roles over the years. Was there one in particular that's still your personal favorite?
Well, believe it or not, The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which was this off-the-wall movie back in the 70s, I did a cameo appearance of it. Here's the thing. It's was one of my greatest regrets is this, Steve. The writers and the producers wanted me to be the star of the entire film, but I couldn't do it because of my schedule. And they were literally shooting with 10 days' notice. Well, back then I was working for a radio station, working 12 hours a day, all over town doing something, a concert, a ball game, anything, a sporting event, like I say, all these radio promotions. I couldn't give them the necessary time for a 2 or 3 week shoot, and that's how long this movie took. But so I was able to do the finale of the film, and I did not know it would end up being such a cult hit. But it's one of my greatest regrets that I couldn't do. There was no pay in it anyway, but I couldn't do the entire film.
Well, it's one of the greatest B movies ever made.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. And I seem to remember you were squashing tomatoes at the very end.
Absolutely. And just those monster tomatoes.
Yes.
Yeah, a quick side note. When Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2 was made, you know who the star of that? George Clooney.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't. First off, I didn't even know they made a sequel to that movie.
Yes, they did. Not as good as the original.
Are you in the sequel?
No, I couldn't. And once again, I couldn't do that because by the time they did that in the 80s, I was traveling on the road 250 days out of the year, and they were shooting in the summer, and I couldn't break away. Right. I would not cancel any of those engagements.
The famous Chicken, Ted Giannoulas, with us here in our Lubingo studios as we continue. By the way, you can watch on the webcam. You'll see the Chicken. Perfect. He's in all of his glamour and ready to go for tomorrow night's game. The baseball bunch. People that are my age, and I am early 40s, will remember watching as a kid or teenager in the 80s that weekly Saturday morning show with Johnny Bench and a bunch of kids that were learning to play baseball with famous players coming as guests. And you were a part of that every week with Johnny Bench, who was the host. How did they contact you in the first place about getting involved with the baseball bunch? Interesting to note, Steve, they originally shot the pilot of the film without me. It was to be, for those who are unaware, it was about 5 or 6 kids, like the Bad News Bears, learning about real baseball from real baseball stars, like a little mini camp. But they shot the original. The producers then called me up and they said, Teddy, they said, can you be here in a couple of days? We want to shoot this pilot over again. It's a good show, but it's too dry. As we look at it, there's no humor. There's no appeal to the kids. Can you just come in and simply improvise and work around the original script? So they were shooting this up in Los Angeles. I drove up there. We reshot it. It was a hit. The pilot sold, and we went on to do 5 years of it, and basically based out of Arizona was where the show was taking place. And like I say, it won 3 Emmy Awards, believe it or not. But not only did youngsters back then enjoy the show, but I'll fill you in on something, Steve. I had professional ball players come and tell me that even they would watch the show and pick up tips. Wow. When there was a guest on there, like a Tom Seaver or Raleigh Fingers or Davy Lopes or Ozzie Smith. Ted Williams was on that show.
Ted Williams never did television, but he loved that show, that he came from Florida and contacted the producers and said, I'd love to be a part of that program. And we did an entire episode with him.
That's phenomenal. Now, I've got a little less than 10 minutes to go, so if anybody wants to get in and ask the chicken a question, you can do so right now and call in for Ted, 880-5763, or you can send it out on Twitter at 600ESPN El Paso. And I know, Sal, we're going to try to get a winner for our Twitter Tuesday contest before the end of the show. So we've got a little less than 10 minutes, but you can do so as well. Do you think a show like the Baseball Bunch could ever work now? Could they, if they try to put the same kind of concept together with ball players today and kids, do you think that the same thing could go over?
There's been some talk about that, believe it or not. The original producers have approached me lately and suggested, would you be up for doing something like this again? And they're just trying to find, they've had some talks, by the way, with Major League Baseball, and they're trying to find a venue or a forum how to do that. Do they do it digital? Do they do it streaming? Do they go back to television? These are questions that they're trying to resolve. Personally, I think the game could use it. I really do.
I agree.
I mean, it was a fun show. You had real stars on there talking about real tips, and everybody picked something up. So I think it could work. It certainly couldn't hurt.
Would you want to be part of it again?
I'd love to. It was so much fun. And Johnny Bench, he was so great with the kids, a superstar of his stature and caliber back then. And yet, here, I'll tell some stories. He would take us out sometimes, the whole crew, everybody, on a Friday night to a restaurant. We'd occupy the whole place, just about. And he picked up the tab. It was a beautiful thing. The kids, their parents, everybody.
Now, it's funny enough because I was reading the oral history in Sports Illustrated about a month ago or so, and I didn't realize that the whole Tommy Lasorda segment was after. That was filmed separately. That was not actually filmed with you. And people had their own, the filmmakers had their own comments on Tommy, but it was kind of interesting because when you watch that show, you always thought, oh, maybe they probably filmed Tommy with everybody, but they never did. He was always separate.
That's right, in a studio. And now, for the uninitiated who might not be aware, Tommy dressed up as the dugout wizard. He had a turban and a cape and some kind of dress, wizard-like. And he would talk about a little more on the history of the game and show some old films which he hosted. But it fit the show. But he did that separately on his own time, and I think it was during spring training as well.
That's what I thought. And yet, again, you mentioned it. The show was a cult classic. A lot of players were there. Players liked it. Kids liked it. I'd love to see it back. I think it'd be great. And you know what? Maybe it will come back because sometimes shows that are classics, years later, you remake them and you put all the bells and whistles into it, and you could definitely make a successful relaunch.
Steve, that show we did 50 episodes. We had 50 guest hosts with Johnny and myself, and I'm telling you, at least half of them are in the Hall of Fame today.
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Nobody turned us down except one player, and that was Reggie Jackson.
Really?
Yes, he wanted more money than they would normally pay these guests. The show didn't pay a lot of money. And there were guys like Andre Dawson, for example, who just wanted to be a part of the show for a little exposure. Here he was, a superstar outfielder from Montreal, getting no love or attention, up there. And yet, when we contacted him, bless his heart, I even mentioned this in the article, Sports Illustrated. He was the only guy who showed up that knew every line to the entire script.
Wow, that's awesome. So, was there ever some improvising that would go on for the show? Would you guys do a lot of improv since it wasn't always memorized like Dawson?
That's right. Especially my parts. For example, the writers would say, okay, Andre Dawson does this, or Ozzie Smith does that, Mike Schmidt does this, and the chicken does something funny here. And they just left it up to me.
Ted, after all these years, does the performance take more of a toll on you physically now than it used to?
Yeah, it does, Steve. I have to admit, it does. After 42 years of performing, the chicken bones aren't the way they used to be, but the heart is still willing. The spirit is still there, but the feet sometimes fail me. But it's interesting. People tell me, and I ask them, and they tell me, my friends, my family, they said, no, you still look spry out there. You still look animated as all time. So maybe it's something I'm feeling inside. Who knows?
Do you, I guess, work out more now just to try to stay in shape so that you can handle the rigors of doing a full game?
A little bit, and not as much as I used to, but I should do more. But I find it very interesting. The more that I perform, the better in shape that I get, because inside that outfit, it's like a sauna. It's its own organic forest. I mean, I'm sweating. There's no cooling in there whatsoever, and so it's very therapeutic and very healthy. Truth be known.
But I was going to ask you, you probably lose about 5 pounds a game just by being in that suit.
Sure, easily, and tomorrow night maybe 7 pounds, given how warm it is here.
Well, yeah, and it's a little humid, so be careful, Ted.
Yeah.
Be careful. Again, if fans have never seen this, all I can tell you is there's. You make people laugh. It's really for kids of all ages. And the best part is, after the games, you stick around signing autographs, and you'll be there till the very last person leaves.
That's one of the things I'm proud about, Steve. I never turn anybody away. If they wait for me, I'll wait for them. No one has ever turned away, and has ever been turned away. And I enjoy it. I love it. I got to tell you, it's a part of me. And I love the feedback, and I love the fact that they enjoy it. And heck, what can I say? It's a marriage made in sports spirit.
Well, and that's the beauty. And I've asked you before about, the legacy of the chicken, because I don't know how many more years you want to do this. I'm assuming you probably have at least a game plan or an idea in your mind about how long. But I asked you last time we were on the phones together talking, you mentioned to me that you want this to continue after you're done. You really want the whole chicken legacy to continue to live on.
Yeah, that's a new thought that's kind of dawned on me, that there was a time where I thought, I'll hang up the suit just like Babe Ruth's number 3. There he goes, everybody. Yep. But a lot of people have come to me and they said, no. Like a Disney character, this has got to continue. It can't be put away. Somehow, some way, in one form or another, the legacy should go on. So I've been thinking about that. As for my personal participation, I don't know when that will be. I can see it from here, but I don't know exactly where that time will come.
I know this sounds crazy because there's not really a category for you, but could you ever see a potential induction into Cooperstown and the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Probably not an induction, but it's interesting to note, and I'm kind of proud about this, they have a huge display of me in Cooperstown at the Hall of Fame. They got me stuffed and mounted in a glass-encased life-size pose where people come up and take selfies, and they just put it in their magazine, the Hall of Fame magazine, last month, and it's a beautiful display entitled "It's a Whole New Ball Game." They've got this whole floor called "A Whole New Ball Game," and I'm the lead exhibit in it. Now, as for induction, I doubt that they'll ever induct me. It's too off the wall, too far-fetched.
I wonder if they can honor you with a contributor award like they have for different journalists who've covered the game for years, just based on all the performances you've had around the game. I think it'd be nice if you were given some kind of I guess you said you've got a place there, but some kind of award.
Hey, you could be onto something, Steve. After all, they've got a player's wing and a broadcaster's wing. Maybe one day they'll have a chicken wing.
It's a great way to wrap things up. 7 o'clock, Chihuahuas, the chicken. Ted, it is absolutely an honor to have you here in the studio, and I can't thank you enough.
I appreciate the kind thoughts.
And Chihuahuas baseball coming up, folks, in just about an hour. Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll see you at the park.